Hey, good morning, family. This is Reginald Kuankaru, and out on that walk again. And I wanted to talk today about an idea that a person commented to me on a post that I made was is spiritual. Is there a difference between spiritually thriving and materially thriving? Okay, in other words, they kind of intimated that the idea that thriving financially and abundantly is something different than spirituality. And that is really um, a very difficult subject for a lot of times for us that do call ourselves or look at ourselves in spiritual ways. And especially if you've grown up as Christian, a lot of times you really look at being wealthy as something anti-spiritual almost, Well, it's not almost, it is. I know the scripture, it's easier for a rich man to get through the eye of a needle than a camel. It's easier for a camel to get through the eye of a needle than a rich man. And in a lot of instances, especially in my community, in the Black community, we look at, and I think that it's a programming in the sense that we have to look at being poor and in poverty as something that is good. In a sense, we're more spiritually adapted when we're broke than when we have money. But I want to give you a different perspective of that, because ultimately the universe, the way that I look at it through my Kemetic principles, is that it's a friendly place, and that we are abundant, and that the universe wants us to be abundant. All we have to do is open to it. So for me, even my journey from being an employee to being an entrepreneur, it was a very spiritual journey for me, because it basically came down to how do I value myself? How do I value my knowledge? How do I value who I am, connected with that knowledge? And would anyone else even view that knowledge that I give as valuable? Okay. Those are a lot of questions that I've had to answer along the way. And a lot of times it takes a lot of self-reflection, and it takes a lot of really just taking the cover off yourself, looking at yourself from a perspective of figuring out who you are, and not in relation to what other people believe you to be. So, and from a job perspective, I was able to develop a mentality to where I knew that if I went on an interview, that I would get the job. That was just my mindset. But when I switched over, because after a while I just didn't want to work for anybody. I wanted to live life on my terms, and that was important for me. I felt like I was being strangled, really, by the environment that I was in. But I had to take on a whole new mindset as an entrepreneur, and I had to come around to the belief that the universe was still a friendly place, that I would be cared for, in a sense, and until I reached that point, I struggled. I lost my belongings. I lost my material possessions, all the stuff that the comforts of life, so to speak. Now, that didn't make me feel any more spiritual, for sure. But what it did was teach me the value of valuing me, because for a man, a lot of times we are looked at as our value is in what we can provide for other people and stuff, you know, and that's a very difficult road for a lot of us to deal with. But it also taught me that material things really didn't matter at the end of the day, you know. The cars, houses, you know, the clothes, whatever it might be. What really mattered at the end of the day was my health, and for me, the love that my children had for me, you know. And you know, they talked to me later about how they saw me, because what I thought was they were ashamed of me, you know, and ashamed of what I was going through, and you know, I didn't always have, I wasn't always able to provide for them financially, but in a lot of ways I provided for them emotionally, you know. But I say all that to say is that the journey of being spiritual is not a separate thing, you know. The journey of being abundant and spiritual a lot of times are wrapped into each other in the same lessons, and that's what I learned, you know, just going through what I did, you know. And to think that materially thriving and spiritually thriving is something different is really, it makes life, to me, it makes life really a conflict, because all of us want to be secure. All of us want to be financially secure, you know, and to have an attitude that making money or gaining material possessions is somehow anti-spiritual really is a conflict that has to be worked out, you know. So I would say to that person, what's the difference, you know? What's the difference between spiritually thriving and materially thriving? And when it comes down to it, it's only the mindset, you know? And as a person that grew up poor, trust me, I know that there is no higher level to be in poverty, you know. I grew up in that, and it is not good feeling like you don't know where your next meal is going to be coming from, you know. There are days that happen, and I'd rather be financially well off than not. But also, I gained a level of understanding my self-worth, and understanding that when I put out value into the universe will reflect that value back to me. Now, money is one way that can be measured, but it's not the only way. But it is definitely part of the journey of just becoming, you know. So don't think that well, I guess I really can't tell anybody, don't think that being broke is a higher spiritual level, because a lot of times I recognize that that's a payoff too. You know, there's a payoff to thinking that way, that you know, you don't have to, well, there's just a payoff for that. But I would say that there's no difference between materially thriving and spiritually thriving. One, it's just a perspective that you want to take on it. Okay, so at any rate, this is Reginald Kuakaru signing out. At Kemetic Centered Living, you learn how to live life boldly, authentically, unapologetically, and on your terms without guilt or shame. Other people might talk to you about spirituality, but here I teach you how to spirituality. All right. Hey, y'all have a wonderful day, family. Bye-bye.